I'm MJ. Picture this. It's 1870. A 48-year-old German businessman named Heinrich Schliemann walks up a hill in modern Turkey, a place called Hisarlik. Now, this guy has no archaeology degree, nothing like that. He literally just has a copy of Homer's Iliad right there in his pocket, and he starts digging. And on that hill, he finds a city. Actually, scratch that, not just one city. He finds 9 of them, all stacked right on top of each other. We're talking walls, gates, burned timber, thousands of bronze weapons. And that 7th layer down, it dated to right around 1180 BCE. It was just this massive, undeniable destruction layer. AJ.
I'm AJ. Wait, hold on, MJ. Are you saying he actually found Troy? Like the real Troy?
He found Troy, AJ, no doubt about it. The Trojan War was a historical reality. Okay, that is just completely wild. This whole mythical city was actually just sitting right there in the dust the entire time. But wait, if the Trojan War actually happened and the Greeks totally knew it ended in an absolute disaster for everyone involved, why did they keep telling this incredibly devastating story for 1,000 years? I mean, why are we still telling it right now?
Well, that is the exact question we are answering in this explainer.
Because the truth is, the Iliad is not actually a war epic. It's humanity's most honest book about why we fight wars we know we absolutely shouldn't. Wars against people we know are just like us. We fight for reasons we simply cannot defend. And in the process, we lose pieces of our soul we can never get back. That is the core truth of this poem. And honestly, once you see it, you really can't unsee it. Section 1, The Face and a Fleet. 1,000 ships launch for one woman. Right, we have to start with the official cause of the whole catastrophe, Helen of Troy. She was married to King Menelaus of Sparta, and then the Trojan prince, Paris, took her, or maybe she went willingly. The sources kind of differ on that, right? But either way, Menelaus called on every single Greek king who had sworn an oath to defend his marriage, and they answered the call. Was this the face that launched 1,000 ships? I mean, just think about it. A massive, combined Greek fleet launching for a single marriage. The tension there is just unbelievable.
It really is. 1,000 ships literally hit the beaches of Troy. The Greeks set up their camp, but Troy set up on this hill behind walls so insanely thick, the Greeks couldn't break them. So they just sat there for 10 whole years. The greatest warriors of the age basically killed each other every single day for a decade. Just a brutal, bloody stalemate. But here's the thing. The Iliad doesn't even start at the beginning of those 10 years. It actually opens in year 9. And the greatest Greek warrior, Achilles, he's just pouting in his tent. He absolutely refuses to fight, all because his commander insulted him.
Which sets up Section 2, The Enemy's Moral Center. The hero is not who you think. See, almost nobody realizes this unless they read the poem really carefully. The hero of the Iliad isn't Achilles. The epic's true moral compass is Hector, the eldest prince of Troy.
Wait, what? Homer made the foreign enemy the moral center of the story?
He totally did. Hector is the defender of his city. He's a man fighting on the wrong side of the war. And Homer deliberately writes him as the absolute most sympathetic character in the entire poem. And Homer proves this in what's probably the most emotional scene of the Iliad. It's in Book 6, the helmet scene. So Hector goes home from the battlefield. He just wants to see his wife and his infant son for what he knows is probably the last time. Now, the baby sees Hector in his full bronze battle helmet and this huge horsehair plume on top. Just absolutely terrifies the child. The baby starts crying, and Hector? He just laughs. He takes off this terrifying helmet, he sets it on the ground, he picks up his son and kisses him. And then he prays. He prays that his boy will grow up to be a better man than his father. Then he hands the boy back, he puts the helmet back on, and he walks right back out to a war he completely knows he's going to lose. And that brings us to Section 3, The Rage and the Weeping, the engine of grief. That sense of dread really drives the narrative forward. See, Achilles only returns to the battlefield after his dearest friend is killed. His friend Patroclus puts on Achilles' armor to try and save the Greeks, but Hector kills him, and Achilles' grief just becomes the engine for the rest of the poem. He wants brutal revenge. He gets brand new armor forged by a god. He hunts Hector down outside the city walls. He kills him. But he doesn't stop there. He completely desecrates the body. He literally ties Hector by the heels to his chariot, and he drags him around the walls of Troy for 12 straight days, right in full view of Hector's father, his mother, and his wife. Oh my God, I am just in pure shock. King Priam actually sneaks into the enemy camp and does this. He kissed the hands of the man who killed his son.
He really did. It's the massive emotional midpoint reversal of the whole story. Priam is on his knees, begging for his son's body, and right there, the intense rage of Achilles just finally breaks. Achilles weeps. Priam weeps. You have the enemy king and the Greek warrior weeping together in this tent. They weep for everyone they've lost in this pointless war. And then, Achilles gently washes the body, and he gives it back to Priam.
Achilles actually arranges a 12-day truce just so the Trojans can properly bury their prince. Think about that for a second. The greatest war epic ever written doesn't end with some glorious triumphant victory. It just stops. It stops at a 12-day funeral truce. The whole thing literally ends at a grave. Which brings us to section 4, the true face of victory. What happened next? But wait a minute. If the Iliad just stops at the funeral, how does the city actually fall? Well, the story of the fall of Troy actually comes from the Odyssey and some other later poems that are mostly lost now. And that brings us to Odysseus. He's the architect of the final deception. Because after 10 years of total failure, the Greeks desperately need a new plan to finally break those walls. So Odysseus comes up with the massive wooden horse. They hide 40 Greek warriors inside the thing. The rest of the Greeks pretend to just give up and sail away. And the Trojans, they drag this massive horse right inside their own walls, thinking it's a religious offering. And by doing that, they unwittingly seal their own doom. Because that night, the warriors creep out, and the sack of the city is absolutely brutal. Every single adult man in Troy is killed. King Priam is murdered right at an altar. Hector's infant son, the crying baby from the helmet scene we talked about, he's thrown from the walls. Hector's wife is enslaved. Homer doesn't shy away from this. He tells you exactly what victory really looks like. He literally counts the dead by name. The poet Alice Oswald actually wrote a modern version of this in 2011. She just listed the men who died, each one a paragraph. The poem is a list of funerals. And honestly, that is Homer's true meaning hiding right underneath the war story. So here is your 30-second recap. A random businessman dug up Troy in 1870. The war was absolutely real. 1,000 ships launched for one woman. The greatest, most moral warrior in the poem was actually the foreign enemy. The so-called hero of the Iliad spent 12 days desecrating a corpse, and then he wept with that dead man's father. The poem ends with a funeral, not a victory. The whole wooden horse thing, that came later. The cost of this war was entirely real, and the truth is, you do not get to keep the prize without paying that brutal cost. So MJ, I guess we're right back to the beginning here. Why does all of this still matter today? It matters because Homer was really the first writer to be brutally honest about what war actually does. Not what it wins, but what it does. To the winner and to the loser. To the child terrified by the helmet and the broken father kneeling in the tent. Once a civilization reads this totally honest account of war, it can never really pretend its own conflicts are clean ever again. Because there is no clean version of this story. And that is exactly why we're still reading it today. I guess the real question we have to ask ourselves is this. When we look at the conflicts of our own era, are we brave enough to read them with Homer's honesty?